So, in part 8 of What is Egypt Hiding, I thought I would take a different approach and instead cover the story of Moses. All right, Moses was prolific, okay? He was a prophet and was very prolific and instrumental in helping the children of Israel escape their slave masters, the ancient Egyptians that had enslaved them. All right? Now, in so doing, remember that there are Bantu tribes, including my own, okay? The Abagusi, the Meru, the Embu, the Kikuyu, the Suba, the Kuria, all right? And there's so many others. But I'm just talking about that little close-knit circle of the 7 brothers that moved into East Africa, Kenya, all right? Now, you have the Kalenjin who are Nilots, and they talk about escaping from Kajipta, which is Egypt. They call Egypt Kajipta. They escaped out of Egypt because they were enslaved by the red-skinned people, who they called Kip Yamamungan. You will also find that the Marys talk about a very, similar story, so similar. In fact, it's probably one of the most similar stories of all the other Bantu groups, the 7 ones that I'm talking about, that seems more accurate even in terms of the story of Moses. Now, let's not forget, the Kalenjin talk about a prophet called Musaiga who had a magic stick that when he hit the water, it split and they were able to run away from their slave masters. The Merus talk about Komenju, and there's other names. I can't remember the other names they gave him. But Komenju, or the hidden one, all right, who also had to come up with many tasks, okay, that were given by the king, impossible tasks, all right, because the Merus had started to reproduce, and the Egyptians were scared that they would topple them eventually because they were starting to increase in number. All right, now to talk about this, please don't forget to do your research in regards to these tribes. In fact, there is a missionary who wrote about the Meru people, all right, and in fact he does believe that the Merus are part of the ancient Israelites because of some of their customs and traditions. All right, that doesn't surprise me. Now, let me discuss about the story of Moses. Now, if you all remember, I'll just give you a history lesson real quick. For those of you who are familiar with the story, Moses was hidden by his mother, all right, inside a basket made of reeds, and she floated it on the river. Now, the Merus talk about the same thing, his mother making him a basket and floating the baby in the river. It's so crazy and so similar, all right? Okay, so before I proceed further, I know there are Abaiso or those who are like my fathers that watch this. I just want to ask you to kindly exit because I will be talking about just a slight topic that it's not anything serious, but it's not a topic, of course, that culturally is suitable for me to talk around people who are my fathers. Okay, so now for us to be able to discuss the story of Moses, we have to talk about first, for Moses to even come into being, okay? For the story of Moses to ever have come into being, of course, Moses had to be conceived, right? All right, so let's find out in ancient Egyptian, what is the word for copulation in ancient Egyptian, so that baby Moses would be able to come about. So now let's look at what is the word, or what the word is for copulation. And right there, look at it. The word for copulation in ancient Egyptian is bana. Bana, okay? And that's pretty simple to explain when you come to other Bantu languages. Now, Fergus Sherman, of course, points out the Swahili word bana. Bana means to squeeze or to grip, right? So, bana, squeeze or grip. And that's the Egyptian word for copulation, okay? In Swahili, it means to grip or to tighten or to press onto something, all right? Bana. All right. Now, you have the second word, a variation of that word, which is bana bana. Now, the concept of repeating words in order to make an emphasis, you will find that very prominent among Bantu people. So, bana bana would imply that it's gripping and loosing, meaning it's something that is consistently happening. All right? Okay? So then you have Faga Shaman talk about the word banana. It's still Swahili. It's just a repetitive word for to grip and ungrip. All right? Now, you have in the Kisetswana Bantu language, bonona are words that pertain to a man's private parts, okay? Or a phallus, right? And then you have, as another variation, you have Northern Sutu Bantu. The word bona, okay, which is B-O-N-A, alludes to manliness. And in Kisesutu Bantu, bona, of course, is manhood. Now, you can see that the consonants don't really change within these Bantu languages. Kisutu, Kiswana, Kiswahili, the words, the consonants really remain the same. Now, as an additive, there are variation Swahili dialects, okay? There are variations of Swahili dialects. And you will find that the plural for the word children is what? Wana or bana. Why? Because the process of copulation or procreation, of course, is to produce children, primarily. All right? So, bana in Kibantu is children. In Ekigusi Bantu, bana are children. Now, when you come to the Hebrew language, Bena, or Ben means son. That's how you know that indeed the Israelites did live in Egypt, even though many scientific schools of thoughts have tried to deny it. The language doesn't lie, okay? So you will see that within the Bantu, Bana is children. You will see even within South, I want to say that's Kizulu, Abantwana is children. You see that? So there is definitely a great link between these Bantu languages and ancient Egyptian. Now, I am just very curious to know how these modern Egyptians can claim with a bold face that this culture was theirs. How is it? How is it? This is a black man's language. So how is it that you are able to be a culture vulture and then get offended when people say that, yeah, Tutankhamun is black? Yeah, the language is black, and so it should be Afrocentric. My question is, who are you? We know what you're hiding, and you're hiding our history. So please tune in for part 9 coming right after this, as we proceed on with the story of Moses.